Hi and welcome back. In this part of the training, we're going to talk about the 5E model. Many of the sessions that we do are based around this model, as we know it is effective practices. It includes all of the pieces that a good lesson should, and many pieces of our interactive notebooks have the 5E model resonating through them. So let's take a look at the 5E model first before we do anything else with our notebooks. As you can see here, I've got all of the parts of the 5E model listed, but please do not get hung up on them being in a linear fashion. This is actually a cyclic model, and it's very fluid in that you can move from engage to explore to evaluate to back to explain and so on. The first thing I want to ask you to do is look at the 5E model itself. So if you will, pause the video here and pull up the 5E model handout. It can be found in the module, so I'll show you where that is, right here, and this will open up for you, and I would like for you to pause the video here and just read over this briefly before we move on. So what we find in this handout is the core information for the 5E model itself. This piece defines and explains each part of the 5E model and how it works within each phase. But what I really want to bring to your attention is the teacher's role in the 5E model. If you want to highlight your model, if you've printed it out as I go through this, I highly encourage it. Because what few teachers know is what your role really is with the 5E model. In the engage piece, we see that it creates curiosity, elicits responses, raises questions. So an engage is really about the inquiry of the student. It's not really about providing answers, coming to conclusions. It might play on prior knowledge a little bit, but really it's just an opportunity to observe. If you look into the explore piece, something continues through the 5E model, and that is asking more questions, which is inquiry. You're only acting as a facilitator to the students. You're really not giving them any information. In fact, they're finding the information on their own. Factual information that can be looked up through Google or other means really shouldn't come from you. The only thing that should come from you is more questions. If you look into the explain, you'll see the same theme. They're justifying information based on the questions that are being asked of them. They're using their evidence. So if you get in the practice of asking your students when they give you a claim, what's your evidence? That's using higher level vocabulary and probing them a little bit more to understand exactly what they're saying and the conclusions that they're coming to by the time they get to the elaborate and the evaluate pieces of your lessons. You continue to encourage through the elaborate. What do you already know? Why do you think so? Could be possible questions that you ask, encouraging them to continue to justify their findings. You are not to lecture them. You are not to explain how things work and how to work through the problem. They need to find their own way through it. You can give them some guidance with explanation, but it should be through guided questioning. And then finally, they're evaluating what they have applied and new concepts that they've learned. And they ask the questions this time. What do I know about X? And how do I explain it? And it's based on what evidence? In the student's role, they continue to ask questions themselves. So if you look here, they're showing interest in the topic. They're curious. They might ask for the right answer. Don't give it to them, because sometimes there really isn't one. And the better we get about not encouraging to look for that right answer and seek other questions and create other questions, the better off we're going to be. We want to encourage free thinking. And we want to suspend their judgment in the explore piece, because that's really what we're doing, is we're just finding information. We're forming predictions and claims and hypotheses. We continue to listen to others and refer to previous activities, such as your explore piece or your engage. Oh, that's what happened before, the student might ask or state. The elaborate is that they apply new labels, new vocabulary. They're checking for understanding with their peers. Notice it does not say teacher. The teacher is only there to guide. And then finally, they are elaborating and evaluating the information that they've been given and the questions that they've answered, or asking more questions regarding the questions that they've answered. So it's really a great model. It encourages inquiry on the student part, and it allows you to be a facilitator and really put the learning back on your students. If you will, go back to the CELI and discuss some of your aha moments, maybe from the 5E model, and ask yourself, am I using the 5E model in my current lesson planning? And if not, how can you include it? And if you are, how can you improve it? See you guys.